All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're exploring a totally fascinating and honestly pretty misunderstood corner of the real estate market, and that is raw land. If you've ever been on a road trip, looked out the window at just a massive, endless expanse of empty space, and thought, who on earth actually buys that? Well, we are going to unpack exactly that today. In this explainer, we're breaking down insights from Land Limited that actually categorize every single land buyer into three very distinct archetypes. And I bet by the end of this, you're going to know exactly which one you are.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at land as the ultimate adventure book. Then we'll introduce our three personalities: the legacy builder, the weekend warrior, and the savvy accumulator. After that, we'll compare their paths and finally figure out how to match your perfect dirt to your actual lifestyle. Okay, section 1. The ultimate adventure book. Setting the stage. Think about it like this. When you buy a house in the suburbs, the story's basically already written for you, right? The walls are up, the plumbing is set, the neighborhood vibe is completely established. But raw land? Raw land is a totally blank canvas. It is purely potential. And that's why I absolutely love this quote from our source. Raw land is the ultimate choose-your-own adventure book. Owning land isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all prescription. It's an incredibly individual journey that's shaped entirely by your own unique goals, your budget, and the exact lifestyle you want to lead.
Now, here is where people get tripped up. The single biggest mistake buyers make in this market is buying for the person they think they should be instead of buying for who they actually are. Like, you might absolutely love the romantic idea of farming 50 acres, but if you despise waking up at 5 a.m. and doing back-breaking manual labor, you're going to end up stuck with dirt you can't even use. So identifying your true archetype, that's the absolutely crucial first step to making sure you build the right life and don't just acquire a random piece of the map.
Section 2. Meet the legacy builder, the homesteading visionary. Let's meet our first archetype. These are the true visionaries, the folks who are just desperate to trade city concrete and constant noise for the absolute, uninterrupted silence of the woods or the desert. The legacy builder's core goal is absolute self-sufficiency. They are not looking for a quick weekend getaway. No, they're seeking a permanent, fundamental lifestyle shift. When they look at an empty plot, they don't just see dirt. They see solar arrays generating their own power. They see raised garden beds feeding their family. They see the exact foundation lines for their future off-grid cabin or tiny home.
And because their vision is so specific, their checklist is incredibly rigorous. They absolutely need friendly zoning that actually allows for RVs or tiny homes, which isn't a given, by the way. They need the soil to pass a perk test so they can legally install a septic system. They require ample acreage because for them, privacy is everything. But what's super important here is finding pre-vetted lots with utilities already at the street. For a true homesteader, taking that massive utility stress off their plate, just knowing power is at least accessible at the property line lets them focus entirely on building their dream instead of fighting with local infrastructure.
Section 3. Meet the weekend warrior, the recreational specialist.
So this archetype is practically the exact opposite of the legacy builder in their day-to-day life. The weekend warrior actually loves their city job and their career, but they absolutely despise their city weekends. Their ultimate goal? Instant access to adventure. They just want a home base for their toys. We're talking ATVs, campers, hunting gear, and they want it without the crushing hassle of a traditional second home mortgage. They are the buyers who just want to pull the truck up on a Friday afternoon, spark a campfire, and let the dogs run completely free without ever bumping into a no trespassing sign. For the warrior, the name of the game is accessibility and recreation. They need proximity to national forests, lakes, or established trails, and easy road access. That is completely non-negotiable. They are not looking to blaze a trail with a machete just to park their camper. But strategically, low-down financing is totally key for this group. Keeping their cash liquid means they can actually afford to go buy that brand new side-by-side or upgrade their camper while still owning the permanent dirt sitting beneath it.
Moving on to Section 4, meet the savvy accumulator, the strategic investor.
Now, this buyer is playing a completely different game. They aren't trying to build a campfire or live off the grid at all. They are trying to build a robust financial portfolio. The savvy accumulator is highly strategic. They are focused purely on wealth preservation and growth. They inherently get that raw land is a finite resource, and they view it as a much, much safer bet than navigating a volatile 2026 stock market or just holding onto piles of cash that are slowly getting destroyed by inflation. They see the pure underlying financial value of the earth itself. And you've got to see the sheer volume of their strategy here. 5 plus. We aren't just talking about buying one cute lot and sitting on it for a decade. According to the source, many savvy accumulators are purchasing 5 or more properties in a single month. It's wild. Whenever they see a deal, they strike. It's a high-volume, highly analytical, totally numbers-driven approach to real estate.
To execute at that kind of volume, their checklist is strict. They demand low taxes to minimize carrying costs, and they target high-growth counties. They also zero in on high utility potential, meaning power or water is nearby, because that appeals directly to the next buyer down the line. Ultimately, their absolute obsession is future upside. They acquire properties that sit strictly in the path of progress, which makes the purchase a strategic win from literally day one. Section 5. Comparing the 3 paths. Which path fits your budget? When we take these 3 personalities and synthesize them into hard data, the divergence is just incredible. Look at their top priorities. The builder obsesses over soil and zoning. The warrior cares entirely about location and access. And the accumulator, they only see value and ROI. How about ideal acreage? Well, the builder needs a sprawling 5+ acres for their homestead, whereas the warrior is perfectly happy with just 1 to 2 acres for seasonal use. And financing is completely different too. The builder leans toward long-term owner finance to manage their build costs, the warrior wants a low down payment to keep cash free for their ATVs, and the accumulator deploys cash or short-term financing to snatch up bulk deals. It's exactly the same asset class, but 3 entirely different universes of strategy.
Finally, Section 6. Finding your perfect dirt. Match your land to your lifestyle.
So now that you understand these archetypes and the data behind them, how do you actually make the right move? Well, it's by avoiding the real-world consequences of buying against your true nature. Look, if you know deep down you are a weekend warrior, do not get talked into buying 40 acres of rugged, deep wilderness that requires a bulldozer just to reach your campsite. You will hate it. On the flip side, if you're a legacy builder dreaming of massive gardens and off-grid solar, do not settle for a tiny lot tucked inside some highly restricted subdivision. The dirt has to match the dream.
And this is exactly why the source heavily emphasizes a direct-to-consumer model. When you're trying to match your highly specific buyer type with the perfect parcel, you need expert dirt-level guidance. You need to be talking to people who actually know the topography, who understand the zoning, who know the local quirks. You absolutely do not want to be buying from some suit sitting in a high-rise who has never even seen a mesa in person. You need a partner who understands the reality on the ground. I want to leave you with this incredibly provocative question straight from our source material today. The land isn't changing. The question is, are you? It's such a powerful thought to end on, because that raw land, it's just going to sit there resilient, finite, and full of potential, whether you act or not. The real variable here is you. Have you figured out who you truly are? And more importantly, are you finally ready to claim the piece of the map that belongs to your unique story? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.